Have you ever tried mixing two things that really shouldn't go together? Like putting pineapple on pizza, or mixing Coke with milk, or my personal favorite, trying to teach your grandma how to use TikTok? Well, that's exactly what Breaking Silence attempts, but with much higher stakes. This anthology dares to put slavery and love side by side in one poetic collection. Yeah, slavery and love, two of the most opposite human experiences you can imagine. But surprisingly, it doesn't feel forced. Instead, it flows like a journey. We start in chains, shackles, and dungeons, and somehow end with hearts, roses, and sometimes heartbreak. That's Breaking Silence, edited by James Robert Myers, a 2013 anthology that gathers poets from all over the world. I mean literally, from Ghana to Zimbabwe, Kenya to Australia, India to Spain, the US to Belgium. But at its core, the strongest voices are Ghanaian. You'll find both seasoned, well-known poets like Mbizo Chirasha and Philip Oyinka, better known as Nana Asasi, alongside brand-new, younger poets whose words still cut deep, even if their pens are just sharpening. Now let me walk you through this book, because it's structured like a story. We begin with slavery, the chains of the past, and then we move towards love, identity, and healing. The opening poems are heavy. Most are written in the first person, and the persona is either a direct victim or a ghostly observer hovering above the horrors. And in those cases where the I speaks, you can feel the bloodline at work. The poet becomes the vessel of memory, the descendant speaking on behalf of an enslaved ancestor. So let's take Ni Ai Solomon's The Forgotten Soul. Here the voice feels weak, almost powerless, a victim really, yet bound by umbilical linkages, speaking because of blood extension. It's as if the poet is saying, we don't speak because we want to. We speak because our ancestors demand it.
Just say it!
That plural we shows up often. The we is not just one person. It's entire generations tied to the trauma. Some poems even ask the uncomfortable question, what crime did we commit to deserve this punishment called slavery? And others simply narrate what was endured. Chains, whips, separations. That pain of separation is especially sharp in Kwabena Agyare's Jero, My Brother. The speaker begs the one leaving, the brother torn away, not to forget where he came from.
Distant relatives we seem to be, but time will welcome you back to the heart of your motherland.
Beautiful, right? But also haunting. Because even as he says this, you feel the doubt. Will memory hold? Can someone ripped away from their home ever truly return? Haven't they already become something new in a new land? And today, the question still lingers. Some African Americans even reject the term itself. They don't want reminders of slavery. They don't want ties to a backward Africa. They've built a new identity. But like Agyare, we can still hope. Some poems in this collection feel like they could have been written in the colonial era itself, what we might call pre-independence literature. For example, Turkson Adu Darkwa's poems list colonial wrongs, romanticize the pastoral life that was lost, and paint things in simple black and white us versus them. One of the sharpest of these is Emmanuel Kwabena Woyomi's To Host an Enemy, which begins with,
We served you fine hospitality when you sold us a pot of slavery.
That line stings. It's the classic betrayal. We welcomed you, you enslaved us. Symbols of slavery pop up everywhere. Slave castles, dungeons, shackles, cannons, Cape Coast, Elmina. If you've ever visited Ghana, these monuments are everywhere. Reminders etched in stone. And then there's Christianborg Castle, which adds insult to injury. It was once a slave castle, but since independence, it has been the seat of government. Power built on pain. Charles Kwame Wright. Idu isn't afraid to confront this hypocrisy head-on in his spoken word style poem Head Nigger in Charge. He rebukes the African chiefs who sold their people for trinkets and mirrors. Idu reminds us that not all the villains were Europeans. Some of them shared our skin tone but not our conscience. Shitu Fawara takes a different angle. Language. In Father Tongue, he questions why an Englishman insults him for speaking poor English, when that same Englishman can't speak a single word of Igbo. That's cultural imperialism in a nutshell. And then Shitu dazzles us again with usurpers, using fresh geometric metaphors to describe exploitation. That's when you know a poet is good, when they can turn shapes into rebellion. Then comes one of my personal favorites, Ganayobi ni Saki Saki's Dza Nyonmo. It's basically a rallying cry. Saki says the time of slavery is over, and the time for rising has come.
Well, no one can stand in our way. No one, absolutely none, Dza Nyonmo.
It's an anthem of empowerment. You can almost hear the drums behind the lines. And just when the weight becomes unbearable, Philip Nana Asasa Oyinka shifts the anthology's mood. His poem Sojourner is a masterclass in transition, part slavery, part life's journey, and part hope. Written with calmness and sprinkled with twi, it's about a weary traveler searching for a resting place. And the comfort comes in the realization, yes, the journey is long, yes, it is exhausting, but surely we shall arrive. Now, the second half of the anthology bursts into love poems. And these are not just the roses are red, violets are blue kind. We get the full buffet, love for a mother, love for a deserted lover, like To My Araba by Shakiru Akinyemi, love unrequited as in All the Man That I Am by James Robert Myers, love won and lost, captured in Sunset at Noon by Alhassan A.K. Jacob, love unattainable, with Ode to Akosua by the same Jacob, stupefying, intoxicating love as seen in Medora by Caleb Kuda, and love for Africa itself, beautifully expressed in Africa in Me by Cheryl Faison. The lines here are beautiful, lyrical. Two stood out to me. From Ransford Nanakwame Boating's My Head, but I would kill to be able to hear what a blind man sees. And from Richard Henry Quist Sr.'s Insolence, Angels are mothers cleaved out of spirit. Tell me those aren't lines you'd underline 3 times. Gabriel Edzorzi also stands out with local metaphors. He writes,
I sit under this leafless coconut trees and give my tears to trees in tatters.
The sounds, the rhythm, the images, they connect you right to the soil. And then there's Gopal Lahiri's Heart and Soul, arranged in non-rhyming couplets, sharp and reflective. Some poems break away from the slavery-love dichotomy altogether. Red Scar Mvodindo Koyuga's It's the Africa in Me is more about identity, who we are when everything else is stripped away. So what's my verdict on Breaking Silence? Well, first, it's a brave project. To combine slavery and love in one anthology takes guts, and it mostly works. The poems succeed in showing that even though unspeakable wrongs were committed, even though humans were reduced to property, the descendants of those slaves can still rise, still love, still hope. There are some truly brilliant pieces here. Dreams from Atlantis by Dante Poet, Rhapsody on a Windy Afternoon by Madhumita Ghosh, and of course Saki's Dza Nyonmo and Oyinka's Sojourner. But I have to be honest, the anthology would have been stronger if it had fewer poems. A stricter editor's knife could have trimmed away the weaker, more juvenile works. Some pieces suffer from poor diction, clumsy structure, or semantic slips. With tighter editing and selection, the impact would have doubled. Still, at its best, Breaking Silence is both remembrance and resurrection. It memorializes the oppression Blacks suffered, but it also celebrates the love their descendants are capable of. It is pain, and it is healing. The book I've been talking about is Breaking Silence, a poetic lifeline from slavery to love, edited by James Robert Myers and published in 2013 by Create Space Independent Publishing. And about the editor, James Robert Myers is Ghanaian. At the time of editing this anthology, he was still a student at O'Reilly Senior High School in Accra. His own literary work focuses a lot on romance and life circumstances. His style blends imagery, symbolism, and sentimentality, making his poetry personal and heartfelt. His work has been featured widely, from One Ghana, One Voice to Right to the World. So yes, this is a young editor pulling together voices from across the globe, daring to place slavery and love side by side. And in doing so, he reminds us that history may have shackled our ancestors, but words still set us free. So what do you think? Can love really be born from the ashes of slavery? Or is it too much of a contrast? Let me know in the comments. And if you enjoyed this review, don't forget to hit that like button, share, and subscribe for more deep dives into African and world literature. Until next time, keep reading, keep questioning, and most importantly, keep breaking the silence. Hey, thanks so much for hanging out with me today. If you're interested in diving deeper into this book, I've left some links down in the description. You can use it to grab yourself a copy and keep the adventure going. And if you're in the mood for more great reads, don't go just yet. Click on one of the videos popping up right now that I think you'll love. And don't forget to give this review a like, leave a comment, or even subscribe if you'd like to see more. Every bit of support helps us grow this little community of book lovers. See you in the next one.